Welcome to Python with Andrew, where we will continue on looking at file input and output. And I want to stop and do a couple of examples of, if you like, getting us some practice in bringing some data in from a file and doing some stuff, and then processing it and maybe writing it to the screen or writing it to another file. And I want to do a simple example of counting the number of words in a file. And I'm going to do it in two methods. So I'll do two videos. One method where we, if you like, read everything in from a file and then do some work on it, versus reading a line at a time or doing a word at a time and doing the count as we go along. So we'll do two versions, and I'll also try and use some functions while we're at it. So let's jump over and get stuck into it. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is let's just see the file that I have. The file that I'm going to use is just a simple file of text There's probably about 700 words in this file. It doesn't wrap around too well. That's the file I'm going to use. We could use this on any text file. This is just a bit of a story to illustrate the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read in all the data. So to do that, I'm going to define a function. I'm going to call it getData. And this is going to take a file name. So we can use it again and again and again. And I'll document it and say, open the file and read in all the data. All right. And so my first line is I'm going to use a data file, which is the same variable I used last time. And we just open the file for reading. And then I'm going to do all data equals data file read. And I'm also going to close the data file. So I think that's a good practice. And then I'm going to return the all data. Okay, so nice simple function that opens the data file, reads all the data in, and then closes that, that file. So down here in my main program, I'm going to, I'll call it data equals get data. And my file name is story1.txt. Okay, so that should work. And what I'll do initially, I'll just print the data. Let's just print the data and see that we've got it all in okay. So with any luck, I should get that. And you can see on the right-hand side of my screen, just lots and lots of data, lots of words in there. Nothing fancy with that. I could split that, print the data again, but I'm going to split it this time. And you'll see why in a minute. I'm going to split it from text, one big long text, to a list of words. So if I close this down and run it again, you can see it doesn't print very well using my basic print, but you can see I've now split the whole document into a list of words. And that could be useful for a number of reasons, which we'll see in a minute. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just find out what the length of that list is. Now that length of the list will give me the number of words in the file, all right, because every word is an element in the list. So it's going to give me the number of words. So if I just close this down, it's 739. Okay, I could have also done the number of words and just done the length of the actual data. And that would give me the number of characters. Let's see if it does. So there's 4,108 81 characters and 739 words. So far, so good. But I want to do something a bit more than that. I want to, if you like, return the number of words and the count of every word. So in this case, I'm going to do another function. All right, and this other function is going to call count words. Probably not going to call, probably count words is not the best name. And this is going to take a list of words. And this is going to count all the unique words and return. Probably not the best description, but what I want to do is I want to know how many times the word and occurs and the occurs and a and when, etc. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that through using a dictionary. So I'm going to assign, I'm going to call it word dictionary. And what I'm going to do is I've got a list of words. So actually, no, I'm going to take, instead of a list of words, I'll keep the words there. So I'm going to go for word in list of words. All right, so for every word, if the word dictionary get word, I'll explain that in a minute. So word dictionary, the dictionary I have there, get word is going to first test, is the word in the dictionary? Because I'm going to use the dictionary as a word plus a number of occurrences. So the 10 and 5, when 1. That's what my dictionary is going to look like. So the first thing I'm going to do is say, is the word in the dictionary? Because if it's in the dictionary, all I need to do is add 1 to the count. So then I would go word dictionary, word plus equals 1. Okay. But if it's not in the dictionary, I'm going to do word dictionary. I'm going to add the word. And I'm going to set it to 1. That means I found 1 word. So the word wasn't in the dictionary before, and now it is in the dictionary. And then once I've done that, I'm going to return the word dictionary. Okay. So that's a nice, simple function that counts words and returns a dictionary with all those counts. And I could probably use that a number of times in many, many programs. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the data, and this time I'm then going to dictionary equals count words, and I'm going to do data.split. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going to count all the words, but first of all, I need to split the data into a list of words. Now, I probably could have changed my count word function, and instead of taking a list of words, it could have just taken a string, all the data, and inside the function, we could split it up. That's probably a better way of doing it now that I think about it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to print the word dictionary. Now, this is not going to look very nice at the moment, but let's see if we can get it working better first, and then we'll see how we go. So as you can see, it's now printing out a dictionary, and over there, the dictionary, every word has a count next to it. So it was done quite nice and easy. The occurs 10 times, morning 2 times, etc., etc. Okay, but that doesn't look like a very nice printout. So I'm going to quickly define a function called print dictionary. All right, and it's going to take a dictionary and oops. And I'll do a little bit. So for key value in dot items, print key so hopefully that works. And just so you know what I'm doing there, I am doing a key value in the dictionary item. So every time I go through that loop, it picks up the key and the value, the and 10, and then prints it out. Morning 2, prints it out. I could have done just the key and gone through all the keys, but I like using that sort of format. So let me now print dictionary down there, and hopefully if I've done it correctly, yeah, it looks a little bit better. All right, I could probably make that a bit prettier, but at least it goes down down that line. Okay, so and it works pretty well. Okay, it's not perfect, but it works pretty well. And the last thing I could do in this program, I'm not going to do it this time, but I could have created a write to a file. So I could maybe go, okay, I'm going to read in the file, and then I'm going to write all this information out to another file. So we can use it in another process later on. But I'll leave that for you as an exercise. Try and create a function. It probably looks very similar to get data, instead it would be called write data, and it would take a file, but it would also take this dictionary and then one by one write a line out, like we'll open it first, open the file, write line by line, and then close the file. So it should be a short, sharp function. Okay, that's all I want to cover with this as a simple example of, if you like, file processing, where I've taken a file, I've brought all the data in, and then I'm doing some work. And up front, we just printed it out. Then we just did the length. Then we did the number of words. And then we finally did count all the number of times a word occurs. And you can see at the top here, we've got lots of occurrences there. Okay, so we did certain things, but we did it in different functions. Now, someone might say, bringing all the data, that might not work for a big data file. And yes, you're right. And maybe we need to think of a different way of operating. But this is a good example of the idea of bringing all your data, work on it in your application, and then either put it to the screen or put it to another data file. So thanks for that. I hope you like that. Practice some of those techniques so you can make sure you understand all the techniques we're using. And when we try again next time, we might do a little variation on this particular problem.